Hello everyone and welcome to the Hockey Hub. I'm Brennan and today we are going to be looking at what is kind of an ugly situation with the New York Rangers and Tony DeAngelo. Now we're going to start off with a little bit of a background on Tony DeAngelo before we get into all the other stuff and drama and everything. So we're going to look at some of his past history and how he's performed of late. So Tony DeAngelo was a first-round pick at the Tampa Bay Lightning. He ended up being traded to the Arizona Coyotes, and then after only playing a handful of games for Arizona, he ended up getting moved to the Rangers. He has found some success with the Rangers, having a really good season this past year, putting up over 50 points as a defenseman, 15 goals. He was an absolute offensive dynamo out there for the New York Rangers. The defensive side of things has always been where DeAngelo has struggled. Honestly, he's one of the worst defensemen in his own zone in the entire league, and he only really provides offense. So when DeAngelo is not providing offense, he's an absolute liability out there and a defenseman that you really don't want to trust in pretty much all situations except for offensive zone starts. So DeAngelo is effective in the offensive zone, but not at all in the defensive zone. And this season, he's really struggled so far. In 6 games played, he's a -6 and he's only got 1 assist. So he's been absolutely brutal for the Rangers so far. He's cost them a lot of goals, and it really doesn't look like he's putting up much of an effort out there. So his play right now is, really struggling, but I don't think that's why the New York Rangers ended up putting him on waivers. Obviously there's some character issues there with DeAngelo, and we're going to get into that now. So Tony DeAngelo has always been a question of character issues. He was taken later in the first round because a lot of teams passed on him due to bad interviews and allegations of him using racial slurs in junior, which obviously is not acceptable whatsoever in hockey. So DeAngelo is not necessarily a good character guy, and we're already seeing that at the NHL level. Obviously, he had his Twitter account, which he was a very outspoken Trump supporter, which, political views, I'm not going to really discuss that much. But needless to say that a lot of his views have found to be offensive, and he's just kind of a moron, honestly. Some of the stuff that he does in support of, of these political views isn't exactly right, some of the things he says. But either way, moving on from that, DeAngelo has been known to kind of be a cancer in the locker room and pick fights with teammates, and I think the New York Rangers, quite simply, have just had enough of it. So after a loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime, where DeAngelo kind of got burned on the overtime goal, apparently he got into a fight with his goaltender Alexander Georgiev. Now this, we've seen a lot of rumors coming out of this. There is a report that apparently Chris Kreider ended up punching him in the face, but that's unverified. But it is verified that Georgiev and Tony DeAngelo did get into an altercation, and nobody's quite sure how serious this altercation was. But Georgiev has had to miss practice due to, what could end up being a minor injury from this altercation. So obviously, if you're injuring your own goaltender in a fight in the locker room, that's a terrible look. Apparently, a young New York blue liner, K'Andre Miller, has also kind of gotten involved here, trying to stick up for Georgiev. And apparently, DeAngelo's mistreatment of K'Andre Miller has really caught the attention of the players and management at different levels in the New York Rangers organization. K'Andre Miller is obviously African American, and when you look at some of DeAngelo's political views mixed with some of his past backgrounds of using racial slurs, it's kind of paints him in a light that, yes, you could definitely see him having issues with K'Andre Miller. There was also a report that he actually hid the puck from Miller after he scored his first NHL goal, which I just don't understand. So DeAngelo right now is kind of being labeled as possibly a racist, and I would probably agree with that statement on DeAngelo. Using these slurs in junior simply isn't acceptable, and then if he's mistreating K'Andre Miller, that kind of just adds more fuel to the fire. So obviously DeAngelo, there's no place for that in the NHL. And DeAngelo's had the opportunities to straighten out his attitude. He's already on his 3rd team, and I'm not sure if he's going to make it to his 4th in the NHL at least. He did end up clearing waivers, so, even though he's such a bright offensive blue liner, even with the struggling defensive game, I think if it wasn't for the character issues, a team probably would have picked him up desperate for defense, like the Ottawa Senators. But the fact of the matter is, his personality and character is the reason why he wasn't picked up, and he's probably going to end up being blackballed within the NHL. Which, speaking of that, DeAngelo also runs a burner account on Twitter that said that when he was actually, passed through waivers without getting claimed, that, oh, DeAngelo is being blackballed. And basically, it's a burner account that just sticks up for DeAngelo, and it's pretty obvious that DeAngelo runs it. So that's also kind of a clown move on his part, as he uses the account to constantly stick up for himself, fight with fans, pick on his teammates and New York Rangers management. So this is just an ugly situation for the New York Rangers, and it's one that I'm sure they want no part of anymore. It's clear that they want to get rid of DeAngelo, but unfortunately for the Rangers, nobody ended up claiming him, so they're probably going to have to look at a contract termination. I think DeAngelo's time in the NHL might be coming to an end. These issues with racism and character issues and fighting his own teammates in the locker room is just simply unacceptable. Clearly, DeAngelo is not a class act, to say the least, and he's a big problem in the locker room and a big problem in hockey in general. There's no place for racism in hockey or any sort of discrimination or segregation, so that needs to be completely taken out of the sport, and it starts with guys like these that show no respect, no class, and just needless and terrible beliefs against people of other colors. So I understand that this is a touchy subject for some, and I'm hoping that nobody finds anything I said in this video offensive as far as his political views go, because I know that can be a touchy subject as well. But fact of the matter is, DeAngelo has proven time and time again that he is not necessarily a good person, and he does not treat others with the respect they deserve, especially people of color, which is a massive problem. And I personally think DeAngelo's time in the NHL should be over with his mistreatment of players, management, fans, and people of color. So this is kind of an unfortunate video to do. You never like to see situations like this in the NHL, but hopefully it comes to an end soon, and hopefully DeAngelo ends up moving on from the NHL. I can honestly see him going to the KHL for the remainder of his career. That kind of seems to be the trend with players that have issues like this. But that does it for today's video. I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Please leave your thoughts on this situation in the comments below. Just try and keep it clean and without a lot of aggression or violence, since this is a very touchy subject matter. But either way, I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.